So we're back at it with another installment of Car Cross Raid, the final round. There's that quick look at the leaderboard. For anyone who hasn't seen it yet, if you've watched the first two episodes of this, you'd know that it's obviously changed. Do a quick recap of the final round rules. Gate touches are okay. If you foul or miss a gate, you get reset to the previous gate. Vehicle contact only in the event of a rollover or something the rig can't get out of by themselves. So it's just a basic set of rules. In summary, reversing is okay, clipping or hitting checkpoints is alright, fouling or missing resets to the previous checkpoint. As I've said before, it's simple enough. I feel like it is. So here we are up third, currently sitting third, Blue Sky High. And I have to say, this particular session of running and then the filming portion is the grandest episode of what someone in the comments pointed out to me being called red light fever, in which you can do this fine, but as soon as the camera is on, everything just absolutely goes to hell. And that is what you're not seeing here. When I had to go through and edit it, I absolutely got to relive it all over again. To put it in the simplest terms I can think of, Blue Sky High did something unprecedented in the history of Crawler Cross Raid, which is ran an entire stage, and this being the biggest stage. It's 90 gates. Ran it from start to finish, never rolled over once. I never had to reset this truck once. It went through flawlessly. Mind you, it didn't go through super fast. There are drawbacks to a gearbox with quite a lot of gear reduction, and then a transfer case, and then portals, and then putting an 1800 kV motor in it. It seems like this truck could probably benefit from something in that, high 2000s range. But then again, could it? Because where Blue Sky High really excels is that really fine low speed control. Like, you get a wheel up high like this and you get the vehicle upset and it can go through it so slowly. It's so smooth at those really low RPMs that I don't really know how much time would be saved if this thing could cook through maybe, 15-20 seconds in the little interstitial spots where it's going between one section and another. But I don't think it would make it any faster in areas like this. It could go a little faster, sure, but then that's more opportunity to get rolled over. And if you save a couple seconds here but then roll over and have to get reset, all that time is wasted. So it's highly likely I'm going to stick with the smoothness and superb low speed control of the 1800 kV Fusion. Would I like a little more speed? I don't know. Maybe. But I don't want to give up what this rig has in terms of balance. It's one of the best descenders out here. The The motor, yes, looks really high when you have the top off, but it has to because it's got servo on axle, and under full compression the servo is right below the motor. So I guess, you know, it being a 2016 design, they really did think it out, because it's bare bones under there. It is a crawler, and it does really well. As I mentioned, it's not the fastest because it's got a ton of gear reduction and a relatively low kV motor even on 3S. But it makes up for that in being, I don't know, it has to be up there with Zoidberg in the running for most sure-footed rig out here. Like the off-camber stuff, the vertical descending. After my run in Jolly Green, I had thought that I felt like the steering in this, like it had a lot of push, but it really doesn't. What it is that those tires, those Duratrax Showdowns, when you're at like full lock on the steering and you try to put too much wheel speed to it, the chevron, the sort of semi-chevron shaped lugs, they don't grip. The tire just kind of slides. So the key is, when this thing is at full lock, just don't give it the goose. You gotta just ease it gentle through the corners. So you come off the transition here, nice and easy, because otherwise that front end will push out from under it, and it is kind of the nature of the tire. But in terms of pure verticality and maneuverability, the tires are really good. And I think the foams that are in there are really well matched to the setup of the rig. I had thought for a moment about putting four-wheel steer on it, but I don't think I want to, because aside from the loss of some, like if I had four-wheel steer, I could cut through this section no problem, but it's so stable that you can get the vehicle, like what you would think would be upset to the point that it's going to roll out of there, but it doesn't. It manages the V-notch down here, no problem at all. And I do have to say, watching this in playback for the fourth or fifth or sixth time, whatever I'm up to now, it kind of soothes the feelings I had when I was in the moment trying to run this for filming. Because as I mentioned, it never rolled once during the timed run. It ran a perfectly clean run. In the filming run, I can tell you right now, this took 87 minutes of recording. There were sections that I had to repeat a checkpoint like 10 times. I couldn't get it. I had run it timed like 30 minutes before. Like I ran it, I got everything cleaned up, I did my raking, I did my straightening up, got it ready to film, got my tripods ready, and just lost the ability to wheel a vehicle. Like that section right there, to get it up in this little one take through those 4 checkpoints, I probably did that 8 times. With the cameras off, I shot right through it. The final time, the final recorded time on the stopwatch, and basically the final edit time in the video are not the same, because there's no, I just couldn't. Like this section right here is on a particularly wide camera, because I just couldn't keep moving the camera to different setups. I would start the camera, start this climb, and just struggle to get through it. Like when I finally got a clean one and got to the top, this clip is about 35 seconds or so. The main clip that it was cropped out of was about just shy of 5 minutes long. So I would have tried it, what, 9, 10 times? I know part of it is a logistics issue. I don't want to stand in the shot. I don't want to cast shadows into the shot. So I have to think very strategically about the placement of both myself and the recording equipment. I don't want the recording equipment in the shots. So I have to make some sacrifices. I can't stand as close to the line as I would want to. I can't look straight down over the top of the rig. But I feel like it's all a learning experience, and any hardship, I can get something positive out of it. But in the moment, while I was doing this, and at this point I'm some 2/3 of the way through, I think that's gate 60 I just went past out of 90, I felt like such an overwhelming wave of frustration, and I was misplacing that anger. Like, how does that not fall over? How does that rig save that? Anyway, I had this misplaced anger that I was putting it on Blue Sky High, the CFX-W. It's not this truck's fault. It had obviously just done a clean, nice run, and as soon as I try to reproduce it, oh, this part right here, I think it fell into the tunnel half a dozen times, and I barely got it up right here on the timed run. Just a single shot. Drove up it like that was a ramp. It's like that, it's like when you throw something over your shoulder and it goes right in the trash can because you didn't mean to do it. And then if you try to do it on purpose, you could do it 50 times and not get it. That's me with the timed run versus the filmed run. I don't know if that would translate to where, like, if someone was watching me, I would get some sort of performance anxiety. It's not about that I know someone's going to watch this in the future. It's the camera itself. I know it's there. I'm conscious of it. And it drives me nuts. So I hope against hope that over time that will get better. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like my driving is getting better. I feel like I'm getting a handle on wheeling the rigs around and kind of getting used to the little nuances of each one. The particular proclivities of each vehicle, because they all drive a little different. I've got 3 TRX4s here, and they all drive differently. The CFX has superb ground clearance, and if I pick the correct line, it won't roll over, obviously. But I make mental errors, like what's happening right here, and just get the thing stuck on everything. Where if I keep the obstacles between the wheels, it's no problem. It can pass things as effortlessly as the Capra passes over things, despite being shorter, taller, and lighter. So this one is a really fun rig to drive. But for that 87 minutes, I felt like it was trying to break my spirit. So we had some moments, like moments that had previously been restricted to myself and Colonel Mustard, as I was denying his trail truck routes and was like, why aren't you a pure rock crawler? Why won't you go up this? Why do you keep rolling over? When I never had that relationship with a TRX-4 Defender. If a Defender rolls over, you just go, well, I mean, yeah, that's what those do. Those are tall, and the weight is up ridiculously high. So with this one, I didn't know what to expect because MST isn't a really well-known or widely sold brand here in the States, but it's enormously capable. And aside from licorice whips for drive shafts, I've had no other problems with it whatsoever. It's gone through a couple different power plants. It's been great. Its stock tires were terrible, but in all honesty, most vehicle stock tires are terrible. You can tune up a Canyon Trail, but as they come out of the package, they're borderline awful for anything other than bashing around in the yard or driving in a creek. So, while Blue Sky High and I had a bit of a tiff, it was at least short-lived because, you know, after the edits and here in the voiceover, I feel like watching him here, he looks really good. He looked better before the cameras came on, which is why I took some liberties with, like, yeah, he was bumping around on that soccer cone right there, but you gotta think, we're into the 80s for Gates at this point, and like, I was done. The intention was to record 2. Daphne's run, the 4th place, was supposed to get recorded, and there was no way. Like, when Blue Sky High pulled off the course, I just put everything away and went in the house. Like, it wasn't an issue of, well, I'm not really having fun right now. It was an issue of, I don't even know what. Like, I felt like I was gonna have a psychotic break. Like, I didn't know what was happening. This was man versus machine, to be completely honest, and it wasn't the machine's fault. So I guess in the end it was man versus man, and that's kind of the worst place to be. So at this point where I had gotten to the penultimate gate, and I know that it's very tight and you have to get just the right angle for it, I already knew what his time was, and I already knew I wasn't going to be able to match the performance, even in the edit, without resorting to trickery. I was just like, do whatever you can to get a clear on 89 and through 90 so we can record a time and get this thing to editing. So that's pretty much exactly what I did. I think Blue Sky High comes out looking all right. There he is. And he comes across with a 1611.21, which for now sets him in 3rd place. We'll see how that holds up over time. Daphne is up next. She hasn't run the timed run or the filmed run yet, and I supposedly have rain coming, which like isn't a thing around here. So we'll see if that puts it off a little. It's putting everything kind of off a little. The weather has gotten a little wintry, slowing things down a bit, but I'm plunging forward. I will definitely get the rest up in as short of order as humanly possible. And thanks for sticking around if you've made it here and listening to me whine. In general, it's fun. Had a rough morning, but I think it all comes out okay in the end. And glad to have you with me. Blue Sky High says hi. And I hope you tune in for the next one and all the ones after that. So I'll see you then.